And then you have violent extremism, the radicalization of youth, like during recruitment into Al-Shabaab and other areas. You have proliferation of small arms and light weapons. And this is very serious because we are surrounded by neighbors who are unstable, and therefore guns get their way into Kenya very easily. Then you have cattle rustling, originally a cultural activity, but I think it has since become commercial, because culturally young men growing up, they used to be challenged. Before they marry, they look for their own cattle. Therefore, they did this as a cultural activity. Like the Maasais believed all the cattle belonged to them. But then this activity has become very advanced. People are no longer using bows and arrows. They're using AK-47 and M16, especially areas of Samburu, basically the North Rift. And I have never seen, but I'm told many of them end up some place called Dagoretti here in the market. So it is a well-arranged system, and I think it has also been politicized. And then the other one, you have the gangs, juvenile gangs. You have the Mungikis, you have the Vijana huko Mombasa. Then you have tribal tensions in the country related to elections and other issues, and many, many others. And then you also have human trafficking. It is both internal and also external. You have seen Ethiopians coming around, going to South Africa. So those are the internal. Externally, you also have organized crime. Also the human trafficking, also external. You have terrorism, Al-Qaeda and others. Then you have cyber crime. Then you have many others, like smuggling of goods, diversion of goods into the market to undermine the economy, and many other internal threats like kidnapping, carjackings, muggings, and even domestic violence. And some people are even saying border is a challenge. So then to address this, we have a national security framework. Of course, we have the organs. You have the National Intelligence Service, whose work is collection of security intelligence and counterintelligence. National Police, maintenance of law and order. The military is protecting our boundaries. Ensuring Kenyan citizens live and work in safe and peaceful environment, protecting our rights, and then so what are the structures? Because we have a system, and this system we are calling it the National Security Framework, which is an overarching body that whose primary role is to oversee the management of security in the country. And it starts all the way from the sublocation. At the bottom, we have sublocational peace and security committee. Then you have locational Then you come up the ward security committee. Then you also have sub-county security committees. Then you have, above that, you have county security committees. Above counties, you have joint regional security committees. The parallel to sub-county, you have a border security management committees. These are new ones, and the maritime, these were introduced in 2014 as a result of the new security laws. Then at the top, you have a secretariat to the National Security Council called the National Security Advisory Committee. Then you have the National Security Council itself. So the question is how effective are these organs, and that is open to plenary. So I don't know whether I should move to the next topic or you want to discuss this one. Can I then?
I think you can move to the next one so that colleagues can give comments on all the topics instead of.
Yeah.
And we can keep our questions for this topic and then we can do the next one.
Oh, the other one is devolution, and we are saying part of the reform struggle in this country for many years, it was about devolution. And for about 30 years, Kenyans were clamoring for change because they were frustrated with the highly centralized system that was there. And that this system, there was imbalance in resource allocation. It's that most of the developments were taking place in very few areas of the Republic. Then this system marginalized many communities, and the centralized system also did not involve people in government processes. Therefore, Kenyans desired for a more equitable distribution of natural resources and to an end to inequalities between regions. So you have the struggle, then this struggle culminates in a constitution on 27th August 2010. And the biggest feature of this new constitution is then the county, the introduction of devolution as a nerve center of our governance system by establishing 47 county governments, the aim of which was to devolve power, devolve resources, and representation to the lowest levels. So you have this devolution, it has become. We have been there for almost 9 years. And then nine years, yes. But remember, Kenya remains a unitary state. It is not, no governor will be allowed to have their own army or to appoint ambassadors or behave in such a manner that they think they are very independent. So Kenya remains in a unitary state, which means that the relationship between the two levels of government, one national and the 47, must be consultative and cooperative. As it is even said, neither the county nor the national government is superior to the other. So then what happens in this governance system? So you have two arms of government established at the county, that is the county assembly, and the county executive. Unlike the national government that has 3 arms with a judiciary. So in the councils, the organs, you have a county executive led by governor. and deputy governor, then the county executive committee, like the ministers, then you have chief officers, you have a county assembly with a speaker. Then you have a county public service. Each county has its own public service, known as county public service, headed by the county secretary. So other officers that are covered in this service are the chief officers, departmental directors, heads of various departments, sub-county administrators, ward administrators, and village administrators. Now, to ensure smooth operation of the human resource in the county, you have the County Public Service Board, which is charged with the responsibility of developing and implementing human resource policies in the county in line with the relevant laws. And therefore, their function is to establish and abolish offices, appoint persons to hold or act, and even take disciplinary action against wrongdoers. Then the county assembly has also its own board, and they are also independent, judicial independent or legislative independence. So they have a county assembly board. And then to ensure smooth running of our devolution system, we have intergovernmental agencies set up through an act of parliament that provides for a national governing council, a summit, whose membership is the president and the 47 governors. Then you have the council of governors, all the governors who elect their own officials, including the chairperson. Of course, you have a technical committee that services the two. Then you have the Senate. The Senate takes care of the welfare of the counties, ensuring that they are well funded, and also oversighting to ensure that the money that goes to the counties is properly used. You have seen a number of governors being impeached. So that is the overview I wanted to do of the two topics. And by these two topics are very important in our national development. So I think I'll stop there. Then if you have questions or you want to assist me, I would welcome that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mudinho. And what our tradition is that anybody who wants to speak will raise their hand, and then you will note them, and then they can make their contributions.
Okay. So
colleagues, please, you can now raise the questions on the two topics, on the national security issue and devolution. And given that our facilitator today is somebody who has been in this service for long, I'm very sure he is wealth of information that he can assist us for anything that we really need. Thank you.
But don't harass me.
No.
Okay, raise your hand. Kidole ya jogo.
Hii kidole ya jogo bado nakumbuka mwalimu.
Yes. Tito 100 years, baba na mama. Yeah.
Colleagues, we are waiting.
Somebody in the parking lot had asked what is SWAL. This is this is small arms and light weapons, AK-47, G3, M16, these are the small things. You know, the bigger ones are the ones you see on TV in Ukraine. The Hamaris and the artillery, the huge things. So the small ones, these are the things that are very available. Especially in North Rift, if you have 4 bulls, I'm not advertising, but I have heard you have 4 bulls, you can buy one. But take care. Mahmoud, you want to say something? Pauline.
Pauline is. I'll do the
Pauline.
last one.
Thank you so much, Mr. Modinho. I think I was just listening to you and saying, wow, there's so much I don't know about my country. And so I was learning so much. Okay. I think for me, my request was that kind of information you've given us. Are there any notes that can, you know, for me, let me speak for myself, where I'm not very familiar with all these structures, and now I'm finding it's very important that I can refer to and maybe go deeper.
Yes,
thank you.
I can make my notes available, the slides available. You just tell me how to do it on this security and devolution. Yes, this is what we do every day, so I can make them available.
Oh, I believe our president can organize for that, please.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
thank
at
you.
your service, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. But you are a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for that information. For me, it's actually very interesting information.
I'm humbled. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Anybody else? Eunice Koyani. Eunice.
Good evening, everyone, and our facilitator. I'm fine, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment, maybe get your insights. Considering problems such as cattle rustling are not contemporary matters of national security, they've been in existence since traditional value systems existed. And today we are moving to a situation where we are incorporating technology. How are national security machinery incorporating security technology to assist them in addressing some of these issues? Because it looks like the solutions are still backward in terms of how the matter of insecurity in the north is being handled. And today we have quite extensive resources that can be leveraged to assist boots on the ground effectively and tactfully address the problem. Our military has moved in as far as using some of those technology in Somalia to deal with issues of Al-Shabaab. I consider modern day cattle rustlers internal terrorists. I'd like to hear from you, having experience and seeing, is this something that is will be incorporated in future, or are we maintaining status quo? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think if you have to categorize the seriousness of every security threat, if you talk about terrorism, which comes and goes, I think cattle rustling has become a very serious issue. I think 2 weeks ago, I think they killed some GSU men. They remember Baragoi. I don't know how many of our servicemen were killed. So, and it seems like this thing will never end. So you are talking about using technology. Use of technology. Hey, can you mute your nini? Yeah, so use of technology. I think, Madam, you are talking, Eunice, you have in mind things like drones. Use of
Yes,
drones,
I do.
use and other remote gadgets. But remember,
Your spatial mapping.
yes, remember this is an internal issue. Basically, it's supposed to be a police issue. And also, if you use drones, although I think people may start have a hue and cry. But as you said, we are not doing well. We need to modernize. I also saw, I think the government purchased armored cars for the police that are bulletproof. So what I think, apart from utilizing technology, we need a lot of participation from the people, because they know where their sons are going, who is about to marry, who has a gun. We need a lot of support from local politicians, local leaders, and the headmen. All these people, we may need to change the approach. Instead of using the gun, maybe use the carrot. If that can work. But going full blast on security, like, and use the kind of things the army uses, people will start talking about genocide and as you know, politicians. No politician may authorize such a thing, knowing in the next 5 years there's going to be an election. So what I think can happen is we require the cooperation of everybody. If it means arming reservists, we arm them with proper weapons, because it works elsewhere. Let them be armed. It worked in northeastern Tana River and Lamu. It worked. Why is it not working in North Rift? So that is a question you should also start. You help me to think about. But they may use drones to kill people, but if you do it internally, it will raise issues. Maybe open up boarding schools.
Just to conclude on that, my point was not to use technology. Sorry. Just to conclude, my point was not to use technology to harm people, but use technology to enhance preventive measures.
Okay.
And create early warning systems and everything that is relevant in as far as preserving life and enhancing security is concerned, not going full blast in war, but using that to inform policymakers on what are the next actions to be taken.
Yeah, now I understand.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Early warning systems, investing in early warning systems. Yeah, so that you don't end up in an ambush. Okay. Crispus Yanken. Crispus Yanken.
Thank you, Bwana Moutinho, for that elaborate presentation. I think I found you
media.
Sorry?
Where did you work before? I had that name.
I think you're actually spot on, but now retired, doing other things.
Okay,
but that's where we started our. Okay, I'll say that was a very good presentation on issues, the two topics, one, devolution and security. But again, I found you, but at the tail end, you've been able to speak to some of my concerns.
Okay.
I don't know why I refuse. However, I refuse to agree with some of the sentiments that are being raised. Because my position is this. You know, anybody who's taking away human life is a criminal. And I think that person must be dealt with as such. So when you look at things that are happening in areas like Baragoi, Turkana, and maybe other parts of Northeastern, I think those are issues that actually raise a lot of concerns. And I don't know, despite the security apparatus that you've spoken to earlier on, I don't know why it is not possible for us to deal with this matter conclusively. From where I sit, I think we are not so serious in terms of dealing with such kind of issues. I don't know. You being a security expert, I don't know where the missing link is. Maybe you may want to expound on that, despite the fact that you've already pointed out one or two other issues that I was able to listen to. On devolution, a noble idea, but I think the biggest challenge at the moment is the very fact that we've been able to export our bad manners down to the counties. Look at issues to do with tribalism, corruption, employment, nepotism. Those issues are well manifested there. So I would really like to understand, first of all, what can we really do? Maybe one or two things in order for us to be able to ensure that devolution works for posterity. But again, from the look of things, looking at counties, for instance, in northeastern, the coastal region, and some parts of maybe the Rift Valley, some of those counties are not actually sustainable. I don't know whether it is time for us actually to relook at the issues that are emerging in counties and say that we now collapse some of the counties so that we reduce on the numbers and strengthen them economically. Those are my very few issues that I wanted to raise regarding the two topics. Over to you, Bonamudinho. Thank you.
Malimu, I wanted also to make a contribution. Hello? Hello, Malimu? Hello?
I think you can go on. You should be listening. Was that Jelle? Jelle? Jelle?
Yes, sir. I wanted to make contribution on the issue of devolution.
Let's find out first if Mwalimu is around.
Where is Malimu? Is gone out of network.
Okay. Yes. So I was responding to you. You can't allow me to respond to Janiken. Okay. Continue, Jelle.
Yes. Malimu, I want to say that devolution is one of the best things that has happened in Kenya. Within, I think devolution is about 10 years old, about 10 years old, and a lot of positive issues have taken place. And some people have had water for the first time. And even we have seen some, by the way, I'm speaking from Northeastern Wajir County.
Okay.
This is the first time we have even seen a tarmac road. Our children have noticed, have learned what a tarmac road is. And my friend there suggesting that some of these counties will be collapsed. And he looked at. I can assure you that devolution is working here. People are appreciating it so much, although still the resources are limited. So it is actually working here, but I think some people who don't know about what is going on here, I want to speak for others. And I think that is not the spirit of the 2010 Constitution. So generally, I can say that apart from few challenges, because the devolution has been there in Ghana, Nigeria, other African countries have started a long time ago, and even them, they are facing the challenges. Kenya is not an exceptional. This thing will be ironed out. But I can assure you, people here, if they go for referendum, they will pass devolution within Saine. So I want to say that. And people have now access to water, health services, education, or especially ECDs. So we are not in the baby is born and it cannot go back. This one, it cannot be returned back. Unless we are talking of looking for more resources and sending more money, because what we are using is only 15% of the country's overall money or budget. So 85% is being used in other places. I think we should be talking of eradicating corruption, because if you look at the economy of Kenya, 30% of the budget ends up being wasted. So, and devolution is only taking 15%. So in fact, we should be saying, let's eliminate the corruption and make use of that money and enhance the allocation for the money for devolution up to 30%. I think that's what I want to say on devolution. Am I audible?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, sir. So on the issue of security, I think we understand the structures. Northeastern is not as bad as some people are saying, discussing it. By the way, it's not like we don't have anything like cattle wrestling. The issues mostly we are dealing with very minor issues of the conflict as a result of pasture when there's a drought. Like now, last 3 years, it has not rained here. So you expect large populations will congregate in a particular area where they want to access water and pasture and that kind of thing. And then you'll realize that because of those pressures on the land and the pasture and the water, there occur some conflicts. The communities which were initially living there tends to dominate the environment, and the other people who are coming in also say that they want to access the natural resources for their livestock, and that is actually the kind of conflicts we are talking about here in Northeastern. It's not an armed conflict as such where there's mass killing or something like that. Our major problem is the insecurities across our borders. We are neighboring Ethiopia and Somalia, so those countries have civil wars and conflicts, and sometimes you realize when our people cross the border, then that is the time they run into trouble. Or there are some Al-Shabaab guys sometimes who cross and cause a lot of problems here and there. But I think that is something which our army can handle, and the situation is not as bad as most people are reporting. I think we need to know exactly what we are talking about when we are talking of other areas. I think I want to leave the discussion at that.
Okay, thank you so much for your input. You have actually raised the issue of conflict over resources, and maybe you have in mind the Lakdera, the Garissa, yes, and the Wajir, and then you have the Wajir, yes, and Masabit, and yes, you have the Garissa and Isiolo. So yes, these are serious. If they are not handled, they can lead to. Yes, sure, these are people who have guns, so it can easily lead that. So I am happy you have also talked about devolution, that it cannot go. Many people are seeing things for the first time, are saying it can't go. Hata kama waibe namna gani. But you'll agree with me. You will agree with me that if you go to these headquarters, you will find officials have very big hotels, and you can't explain where they got money to build them. I don't know. It happens in Wajir.
It's not only happening in Wajir, it's happening in Nairobi.
Yes.
And it's happening. The people who have started, I think, the corruption a long time ago during independence and even taken money offshores. So this is a small, minor domestic issues which can be managed locally.
This is domestic.
Those who are used to spending the money in Nairobi, that one is no longer going to be there. The country is unitary. I think that's what was in your introduction in the devolution.
Yes.
So we are here to stay together.
Yeah. So then be thinking of what can we do to strengthen
how to improve the system. How to improve the system. That's what we should be talking about.
to stop
Yes. Pilferage.
hemorrhage, to stop people
Yes,
from taking money as if ni mandasi. Mtu anachukua.
Yes, yes, yes. I fully agree with you. That will be the area of focus.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, asante sana. There's Atanasio Nyaga.
Thank you so much.
Atanasio Nyaga.
Hello.
Hello. We have a few minutes. Some other colleagues queuing. Atanasio. Anybody else? I can see the hand of Atanasio Nyanga and the two others. Class
Hello.
Class chair. Is there a revolution going on? What can we do now? Otieno.
Well, Mwalimu, also my hand has been up for a while.
That is Atana. Yeah, but I am calling and nobody is responding. This is now you have dropped.
This is Tiberi Nyakwana.
Oh, I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing my hand. Sorry.
I can see yours is not appearing. But go ahead. Go ahead. It is.
Yeah, sorry, I missed a greater part of the presentation. But from the discussion that is going on, it is good that this issue of security has been mentioned. Fine, I got the concern of the gentleman from Wajir. And indeed, the situation there may not be as good as he's trying to put it, because we know there are cases where cross-border conflict also affects people and people are being kidnapped. We lost a doctor there. Up to now, we don't know the situation. So it is not just a matter of resources. It is actually a threat to the whole nation. And how I wish you made it, you made more clarification about the responsibility of security. Where does it lie? Does it lie with the national government, or can it be entrusted in the hands of county leaders or county administration or devolved system, with all those, the baggage of racism, not racism, but chronism and ethnicity and all the rest? Maybe you can make that clear. Where does the buck stop? Is it with the national government, or it is with the county government?
Yes. The constitution is very clear, Schedule 4, in which I think which divided the functions and roles between national and county government. It gives the national government about 35 functions, and it gives county government 14 functions. And none of those given to county is security. So security is mainly a function of the national government. And it is not sharing with anybody else. So the national government can co-opt people, but the main actors are, of course, the national police. They have commanders in the counties. You have Ngao, the national government of the guys who replaced the DCs and the PCs, and other arms of government, the National Intelligence Service at those levels. It is mainly a national government function, and there has been no dispute about that. Yeah. So when the thing, I don't know whether you sometimes last year, a governor in Mandera was arguing with the county commissioner whether there was Al-Shabaab in Mandera or not. County commissioner was saying there was no Al-Shabaab. The governor was saying there was. So we were in catch 22. The governor is a local person. He knows the clans. And the county commissioner is somebody from Kitui. So whom should we trust? Obviously, is the county commissioner because it is his business. So I hope I will clear the issues where
Fine.
Security.
Probably just a supplementary concern. We have seen sporadic cases of insecurity, and I want to highlight a case of Lake Victoria, where the Migingo conflict keeps on dragging. I come from that surrounding, and I know the history of the place. Migingo had never been part of Uganda anyway. But currently, the place is completely colonized. In fact, the locals cannot go there. They go like it's a foreign land. Can't that be an issue of the county government? Because the national government has, over the years, don't seem to have given it a priority.
Yeah, thank you very much. When the problem started in 2004, I happened to have been a provincial commissioner in Nyanza, and me and my team, the police officer, Jambeni, the intelligence officer, quite a group, the county commissioner for Migori, Homa Bay. We went, actually, we spent a night in those places. There is a Remba, there is Migingo, and Migingo is just 1 acre, 1 acre piece of land. The most thickly populated acre of land, and you have every community. Hata Waria wako huko wanauza saa na Vijanua na Gikoi. Then you have Ugandans, and the Uganda women. You know what they come to do. So, according to the map that I had, the boundary is about 3 kilometers from Migingo to the west. So Migingo is entirely in this country. Now national government and the military are supposed to make sure that you don't leave any doubt. You remember Mzee Jomo Kenyatta said, hata peana hata inchi moja ya Kenya. So we need maybe that kind of spirit. But what I hear is that Museveni has factories ya samaki, and there's a lot of fish in this area around Migingo. That's why they are permanently parked there. But you also have APs, administration police, from this side. So Migingo ni Kenya bwana. Kwa map, na nimekanyaga huko, nimelala Remba, so I know the place. Any
Thank
other
you.
so that I can hand over to my colleague?
Thank you.
This is Edwin.
Yeah, Edwin.
My concern comes from if you visit a country like Israel, when there is a siren, the community knows how to respond to a security siren.
Yeah.
Come to Kenya, when there is a shooting, we do the opposite. We run towards the shooting. Is it a case of lack of knowledge, and is it deliberate that our security apparatus are not out to teach the community how to respond to a security threat?
One, I think we are very complacent as a society. Number two, I think we have not been having problems to the scale that the Israelis have. So that's why we are complacent. I don't know whether you have ever done a fire drill at your workplace. You find that people ignore them. But when the real thing comes, they also think it is just a drill. So we are like that. We need to change our mindset. Israelis have been doing these things for survival on day-to-day basis. So by the time we come to this standard, our people have had to be taken through a lot of sensitization. See the way they treat COVID, the way they treat COVID, Ebola. You know, they are saying somebody in where I come from, He was telling me, you people are struggling with injections, sisi tunakunywa changa hayeka, and there is no problem. So you can see these kind of people are there.
And that compliance is the one that maybe causes us to have high numbers in the event of an attack.
Yes.
In terms of the impact, it is great. So I think it's upon us as government and government offices now to sensitize the community, and especially those of you who are in the security sector, so that we know how to respond to a threat, because some numbers on the lines that we lose them unnecessarily just because of the way we respond.
Yes, and we lead from the front. Because you can't be preaching to people water and you are taking wine. And also you are taking to people about COVID and you are not taking any precaution. You don't have a mask. You don't wash your hands. So I think the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. I am very confident we will reach somewhere. Okay, can we call it a day? Because I can see who else is around. Patrick Kashagwa, my colleague.
Mwalimu, my name is Gloria. Just
Gloria.
a minute. I think I just wanted to give, I wanted to talk about what Jelle talked about on the devolution. And I think you had a concern about the corruption.
Yes.
I think this is one of the things that is killing the spirit of devolution. And you can see so many counties, they have these cases of corruption. I think yesterday we saw a case where money was looted and even a very junior person owns a very big home as compared to the salary they're being paid. And it was looted just after the elections, just before the new government, the new county government was handed over the finances. So I think it's a great concern in terms of corruption, because now it reduces the resources that we have per county, especially the marginalized areas like Turkana. They need more resources. And if they don't get it because of their officials taking the money into their pockets, it becomes very difficult to develop such places. So I think devolution is a good thing, but it has its cons, such as the corruption, and some people just are thinking about themselves instead of thinking about others in the counties. Yes.
Thank you, Gloria. This is a very important point. Even me, I have been to counties. There's nothing wrong with the people developing, but if you have the accountants, people are supposed to make payment, finance officers. If I was somewhere, I'm not disclosing, this guy has a hotel, the standard of which head of public service cannot build in one of these counties. Then you go to places like Makindo, there is no, the MCAs don't have, but the chief officers and the CECs, everybody has a hotel. And not just any hotel, a first class hotel. So then you wonder, if you look at the salaries they're getting, maybe we need an audit, we need, what do they call it? Lifestyle audit, but they are properly eating. Though there is development going on. You know, Kenya was a rich country. If it was to collapse, we would be having nothing. But Kenya has a strong economy from 1963. It has survived a lot of corruption things. So let's hope that we can change, and Anti-Corruption Commission, this can do their work. Okay. Bwana President.
Thank you.
Musaidia bwana, saidieni serikali, even those of you work there. Kula kidogo, you know, looting is very bad. Okay, so can I call it a day?
All right. Mr. Medinho, thank you for that insightful presentation. I know 1 hour was not enough with the wealth of information that you have. Of course, one of the biggest things that I would have wanted to commend myself, but because of time, I would not deal so much about, was that corruption being a security threat, and should be an internal one. I mean, it's an internal one, but now very serious in terms of it affects everything. So, but I'll not, I think you have dealt with it, so I'm not going to deal with it so much. So I think we really appreciate Mwalim for your presentation. We probably will get more time with you to deal with some other issues. But thanks also for the service that you've given this country on behalf of many people don't know. We are so grateful. Yes.
Thank you very much. In fact, the corruption is in my notes. The source of all problems, the security shortages in allowances, equipment, they are all down to corruption. You'll see it in my notes. So asante sana. So
Thank you.
May I welcome who is coming next? Henry Njoroge?
Yes, I'm around.
You have agreed, Bwana na Patrick? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take over?
Yeah, thank you.
Asante sana.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I can see Brenda is answering. Yes, thank you very much. I was also following the discussion, and I've enjoyed the discussion. It's very lively. It's now 8:13, almost 8:15, and it's supposed to be 3 of us. So generally, what I'm going to do is just to give an overview of the assignment that I gave, because when I looked at the parking lot, I did not see any question, but there was a lot of responses that were to me satisfactory, only that probably you could have elaborated. However, in my view, and based on what you wrote and what you responded, you had an understanding of what I wanted to ask on skills of a leader. I deliberately picked on this because adaptive and technical challenges that a leader face, mostly what you'll experience, and the greatest challenge that you'll experience is on adaptive challenges. But just to introduce, of course, you know what a policy is at this level, and therefore I'll not be able to, I'll not explain what a policy is, but I would wish to say this, that you as a leader, you have learned a lot when you're comparing leadership and managerial functions, that a leader is higher, a leader initiates, a leader read between the lines, a leader is somebody who's very knowledgeable in all aspects of management, because it's somebody who has grown from low, then climbed up to leadership position. And therefore, what I want to emphasize here is that those functions that you do at the managerial level, you go up to those managerial levels at leadership level, is only that your responsibility now change from now implementation in any aspects. In this case, I'm talking about policies, that when you are a manager, your work is to implement policies that have been initiated by leaders. Because remember, when you become a leader or in the leadership responsibilities, are those responsibilities whereby you may be, not maybe, you are a professional in your own specialization, but you are able to control and coordinate the activities at the managerial level and supervisory level. Because it's assumed that at one point, either in your organization or in another organization, you performed the functions, those functions. For example, you have performed the function of planning, you have performed the function of, let's say, staffing, and therefore, when you now get to the higher level, when the organization wants to recruit people, you do understand the whole process of maybe staffing and the consequences of deviating from some of the procedures. And therefore, if now you graduate to be a leader, and having been a manager, you are able to identify the gaps of the procedures or policies that are in operation in your organization, because you have a lot of experience in the implementation of that. So your role as a leader is to initiate new policies. And when I talk about leadership, it could be individual, it could be organizations. And when you look at the hierarchy of people or responsibilities of people in any organization or in the country, there are those who are leaders, and there are those who initiate changes, and there are those who implement. For example, if I may take the Public Service Commission as the apex for recruitment of staff in the entire public service and at all levels, because if you don't go to Public Service Commission, the Public Service Commission delegates that function maybe to the ministry. But you know, the ministry gets guidelines, or the HR at the ministerial level get guidelines from the Public Service Commission. So if any change is to be made about human resource, for example, policies like human resource policy and procedure manual, the initiation for changing that policy comes from the Public Service Commission, because at that level, in terms of the ministry, is what we call the leadership level. And then it goes to the ministry for implementation. So therefore, having understood that, your role in policies, then remember policies, when you are doing policies, there are certain aspects that are touched. For example, if once you introduce a policy, some policies would entail that you change processes in organizations. Processes is the way you do things. For example, you may want to shift from manual processing of records to digital. Then, you know, the structure, sometimes policy may make the organization change its structure. And then systems also change. Policies, once you introduce a new policy, there's a likelihood that you may change this. The policy may not change all of this, but maybe one aspect of these activities. Remember, as you do that, it is not smooth because there is a lot of resistance to change, including very basic change, like you want to introduce maybe transfer, you know, come up with a policy, a different policy of transferring staff. Remember, the Teacher Service Commission came up with a transfer system whereby it was talking about delocalization. You know, there was a lot of resistance in that. And when Teacher Service Commission did that, people complained, and maybe some people even got grieved or depressed because of that particular change. So when, as a leader, remember you're saying that it's your responsibility as a leader to initiate change at higher levels, that the systems are as they are, so you want to have a paradigm shift. You know, the structure as it is, you want to change and adopt a different or a completely different structure. So you face challenges. This is the basis of this question, that you face challenges. And two major challenges. One is technical, which you can easily change because you can hire people to come, you know, experts to come and do this change. If you take, for example, IT case, some of you could be in software development. You just need to change the software and change the whole system, change all the processes in your department. You can hire people to come and work. Remember, technology, you can get technology or acquire this technology all over the world based on what you want to do. So that is easier, because when you look at the environment is what your clients and what surrounds your organization. So when you look at the environment, you look at what is outside you, and mostly the people that you serve. That this environment dictates that people are so many, and therefore you need to change the kind of technology that you're using so that you can process information faster than you're doing it. However, when it comes to adoptive challenges, these are challenges that are associated with, imaginations, maybe, changes of observing and looking at the organization where it is and where you want to go. Adoptive challenges means that there is some uncertainties. If you introduce this change, it might collapse, it might change. The organization might even collapse. For example, I gave the example of the localization of the teachers, whereby after being delocalized, some resigned. And that resignation means a lot to the government, because the government has built up this staff to the level that this staff has reached. Therefore, it's a very great loss to the organization. So, what is it that you require to be able to achieve this? What skills that you need to have in order to achieve this, or to make adoptive changes, or to overcome the adoptive challenges? Remember, leaders mostly manage people, okay? And when they're managing people, people are rational. They can reason, they can argue over certain changes. You will not tell people to do something and they do it without questioning. And therefore, you are likely to face these challenges, and they are very complex because society is dynamic. Remember, when you're introducing these changes, or when you are initiating changes in terms of policy, that when you want to introduce new things in the policy, there are people who are under you, who are of different profession, and they know better than you. For instance, you could be 50 years, and then you've employed young people of 20 years. In terms of ICT, they are far much ahead of you, and you cannot cope with this. Remember, a leader is somebody at the top, and that's why you see a leader being at the top is supposed to see the character. You see a forest, and in that forest, you are seeing different species of the forest. These forests constitute of people of different diversity, of different in terms of culture, in terms of religion, also people of different economic levels. Some of them could be even richer than you. And therefore, they'll come with all kind of arguments and can easily maybe frustrate the changes that you want to initiate. Therefore, in this case, if you're managing people, there are certain skills that you need to have. One, what you call interpersonal skills, the competence. You must be very good in communication. What does this mean? When you are communicating, it does not only mean talking to people. It means that you must be able to relate the changes that you're bringing and probably the frameworks under which you are acting on. For instance, according to the legal framework. Remember, as a leader, you have a lot of experience and you are able to read between the lines. You are able to observe people keenly because you have an experience in maybe seeing how people behave and the consequences of certain behavior. So your communication should be very, very clear and very careful, because your idea here is not to collapse the organization as a leader, but to make organization performs better. Remember, a leader is somebody who has influence and followers, and therefore these people must follow what you're saying or what you're doing. And the kind of following that we're looking for is the following that can make organization performs better than it is performing. So we must be able to communicate to people very well. I've said communication could be verbal. Communication, also remember communication through writing. How do you write memos? How do you convince people? You see, what other communication method or channel can you use to make people understand that the changes that you are making or the changes that you're introducing or initiating in your organization will be to the benefit of the organization. And the benefit of the organization is the benefit of the citizens. So even when you're writing letters and memos, it must be very clear, it must be very convincing, because you're also quoting the law, the constitution, and so forth. Then the other skill that you should have is what we call decision-making skill. Decision-making skill means that you must be able to analyze the situation systematically and be able to generate and implement and evaluate what we call solutions. That as a leader, you do not act out of nowhere, but you are able to follow decision-making process. Apart from that, you must be well conversant with the decision-making process that you're making, that you must start by identifying the problem and identify the problem clearly, then be able to select the best alternatives and implement the best alternative. So those skills are very crucial. Now, I want to come to technical skills. Remember that when you become a leader, I've said, it does not mean that you shed off the responsibilities or the functions of the, or the functions of managerial or technical. You're still a technical person. So you must have those skills. You've said that these are very easy to implement. But remember, as you are coping with these other challenges, adoptive, whereby you are observing, it is necessary that you have the basic technical skills. And that's why you find in the public service that people are supposed to have some computer competencies for consideration in the employment. It has been a requirement for a very long time. It is because when you join there, probably join there as a supervisor, then become a manager, and then become a leader. It means that you'll be able to build up on what you know, so that if somebody comes and you're junior and tells you that we want to introduce this system, you'll be able to understand what kind of system, you'll be able to understand what a system is, and therefore be able to move with others. Let us look at a leader. Who is a leader? A leader is somebody who has a vision, somebody who is looking at the organization where it is, where it is coming from, where it is, and where you want to go. Where you want to go is what you're calling uncertainty, because it's just a vision that you want to implement, but you do not know. This can even be an imagination, that I'm imagining that this institution, if I move in this direction, this is the likely consequences of this, this change that I want to initiate in this organization. So you must have done strategic plan, especially at the SMC level. And therefore, this leader must have very strategic skills, that you are able to see the vision. Then this vision that you have, is it helping this organization to achieve objectives? Remember, as you look at these documents like policies and strategies and all that, you're considering the people that you're serving. This policy may have been very old, maybe 10 years. But remember, the environment has changed a lot. As we are saying, that environment is dynamic. Environment are the people you are serving. Environment is anything living around you. And what is around you, whatever is living, you have interests on what is surrounding you. For example, you could be maybe, for example, an archaeologist. An archaeologist maybe is working in an organization. Maybe, let's say, for example, National Museums of Kenya. The environment, the interests of an archaeologist within an environment is that they is interested with the fossils. FOSSIL, fossils. No, those objects that are imagined to have been living for the last maybe 5 million years. That is something non-living. But if an archaeologist is talk about a policy that you read to maybe conservation of artifacts, his concern will be the non-living, because the policy that may be there may be a policy that was maybe formulated like 50 years ago. I want to give an example. Recently, not a long time ago, Fort Jesus, it's a very old building. It's been there, and the government was trying to renovate. Remember, it is you as a leader, because you understand the importance of this Fort Jesus, and you are the one who understands why it should be renovated. But how do you renovate it and maintain the same structure and the same maybe design and so forth? So when you have these policies and you want to change them, it's not easy, because people are likely to resist. In the previous presentation, we are talking about cattle rustling and cultural values. Assuming that you're writing a policy that you have observed. Remember, you as a leader, this is based on observation, imagination, and then what is the vision and the mission of your organization in terms of promoting cohesion and integration amongst communities, probably that are fighting. Once you initiate that policy, which you are discussing in the previous discussion, it will not be an easy task, because for you, the way you see peace, cohesion, and integration is very different from the way these people look at it. So you need, in this case, you need strategic skills that you look at the vision, and once you look at this vision and the environment, you'll be able to ask yourself a question. Is this vision meeting the objectives of serving people better or serving my country better? And that's why, as a leader, you need to contact your skills, because you're able to look at the organization. Whereas at the managerial level, you need managerial skills, and supervisory level, you require technical skills. At the leadership level, you need those skills that are so advanced. But remember, and I want to insist that what helps you to make this decision is because you have been able to acquire some skills at lower levels and build them up, and you are able to read between the lines and be able to identify the gaps within that policy and initiate a different policy. So maybe when you're looking at this, probably before I finish, we have seen that you observe. You must be very good in observing what is happening, and then try to come up with strategies of changing the situation and get to the next level. Probably, again, if you want to achieve this, maybe you must identify that challenge first, especially for decision-making skills, and involve the experts. Okay, and that's why you're saying that you require technical skills. You may you not have all of them, but wherever you have deficits, in order to be able to crack down these challenges, you need experts. And these experts, you call them specialists, because even if you're a specialist in that particular field, you need backup. You may be a finance officer, but maybe there are some aspects of finance that you do not understand fully, or maybe you have some gaps and you require assistance from other professionals. You can call them stakeholders. Bring all the stakeholders together so that they can help you to overcome this. The stakeholders in this case could be, you are talking about community. Somebody asked about security and governor versus national government. As much as the county commissioner is very, very important and is key because the function is at the national level, you need also to involve the people on the ground. You need to involve people from other departments in whatever activity that you want to undertake in order to make be able to solve these adaptive challenges. Because these people, you'll understand the complexity and the dynamics of people in a different way. For example, if you're dealing with the communities, there's somebody maybe who is a sociologist in that who will understand how people interact. Maybe there's an anthropologist who understands the culture of these people better. Maybe there's an economist who will be able to understand how the economic activities and how this policy will affect their economic behavior or the economic activities, and will it have a spill over to maybe social aspects, and what are the unintended consequences. You'll be able to evaluate all this if you have all the stakeholders in place. That is a dimension and the approach that you should take when you're discussing those challenges, adoptive challenges. You said these are challenges that are complex, and because of the dynamism of the society or community or the environment under which you're living in, and how maybe you can approach to solve some of these challenges. I want to invite maybe a few questions because my colleague is almost 22:09. I thought I'd give opportunity to the next facilitator. Any question, any input, discussion? Yes, Vincent.
Yes, Malim.
Maina Vincent, are you raising your hand?
Yes.
Yes, you can talk.
If you can highlight on the pros and cons of adaptive leadership.
Pros and
the pros and cons, yes.
Advantages and disadvantages. What are they? If we are talking of kind of leadership that's a bit, faced with a bit of complex, if I throw this question to the participants and having understood the concept, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Maybe I can give one challenge, one cons that maybe if you introduce them, the 5 levels of grief when you're being changed, whereby people start with the, grieving, to depression, to maybe what you call bargaining, and you go all through to acceptance. Remember, these are challenges that are complex. Maybe you are dealing with culture. That's why I was giving the example of culture. Cultural aspects are very complex. And when you interfere with the people's culture, then you are likely to face a lot of problems. Because you are telling people, this is how you're behaving, and now you should behave like this. You have observed, you as a leader, remember, a leader is somebody who is very knowledgeable. A leader in the area of specialization, or in areas of management, a leader is somebody who understands the whole situation. For example, you could be working in housing sector. You have a lot of knowledge about housing sector. You want to improve the people's lives through good, affordable, and good housing projects. Remember, this is one of the MTP3. In the MTP3 of the Vision 2030 is about housing. What happened when the government now started building houses for people? There are people that are living in the slums, and in your observation as a leader, maybe you may feel that these people are very uncomfortable. Maybe these people, they require better housing. Maybe these people are poor, they can't afford. But as you introduce this, you may discover that if you go to those slums, there are multimillionaires in those slums, and they may not want to live there. Therefore, you are likely to interfere with the people's way of life. You are also likely to get a lot of resistance from people, because this is where you want to make a real change. You want to introduce a policy that will bring a real change. There are many examples that you can look at. Look at even the Michuki rules, the culture of the people in the Matatu sector. The late John Jeroge Michuki, as a leader, because he was at the position of a leader, he wanted to make this change, to change the Matatu sector. What was the reaction of the people, including people who were supposed to be beneficiaries? They could see the impossibilities. See, but that's what you're saying. As you do that, you're doing that based on compliance, and that is one of the advantages, that this will make people realize that there is law and they must comply with the law. As much as the government is using cohesion to bring these changes through policies, and with these challenges, to fight these challenges, people will know that the Constitution says ABCD, regulations says ABCD, because policies are based on laws. Policies must comply with the law. So as you write a policy, then you're also expressing the role that a certain law plays in changing or transforming people's lives. Okay. So, of course, these challenges, I've talked about social cohesion, like I gave the example of Teacher Service Commission and making that change policy on delocalization, until at one point the government almost gave up with this. Because some of these challenges, when they come, the government uses cohesion. And that's another problem. Because when you use cohesion, government start by sensitizing people, telling people, but when people resist so much, then the government uses cohesion. What is the consequences of this? It may be far-reaching, and I may not discuss it especially when the government uses that. And cohesion here means it is not only force, it is not beating people. When the government says you must do it unless, and if you don't do it, you lose your job, that is done against your wish. So there is a bit of force, there's a bit of cohesion the government is using to enhance or to implement those programs or those policies that create that situation of having this, what you call the adoptive challenges, or what you're calling adoptive leadership. I think, Vincent, that's what I can say. You can also give us a point. Somebody else, because somebody else. Vincent, your hand is still up.
No, that's okay.
That's okay. Is
Fine.
there any? I don't see anything. The platform. So what I can say as of now, if there is no comments, there is no question. I would invite the president, maybe my next colleague, next presenter. Who is supposed to be the next presenter? President.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you for your insightful presentation. We appreciate so much. I know we are running out of time. We have like 10 minutes to run, and I know Patrick is on also, I think, was also supposed to make a presentation. So I think we just request Patrick to chip in now, because we are again running out of time.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have a good evening. I think I'll log out. In case you have any question, anything that you want to be discussed, just put it in the parking lot. I'll be able to respond. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. General. Mr. Patrick, I think we are now on to you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President, am I audible?
Yes, Patrick, you are now audible.
Oh, thank you. So because of the time that we have, the time is so short, what I'm going to do is that I know I had sent the position paper structure. Everybody received? I hope because it is on the wall, yeah, everybody must have seen it because it is on the WhatsApp wall of the class, and it has I had sent two attachments. One indicating the position paper structure, because this is just an overview. We are not expected to go so much into it, but just to take you through so that you can be able to know the structure, which has an introduction. Then the introduction is supposed to provide, to introduce the topic, provide the background on the topic, and explain why it is important, and then asserting the thesis. That is our view on the issue that we are giving our position. And of course, this is supposed to indicate both the topic and approach. The introduction must indicate the topic and your approach to it, and so that you can be able to arouse readers' interest in what you have to say. Because sometimes if the introduction is not captivating, it may be difficult to arouse the interest of readers. But if you have a very good introduction indicating the approach that you are going to use, it comes out very, very well. And sometimes in this, I know though most of us were watching the proceedings in court, and I could listen, especially in the Supreme Court, and I could listen to the lawyers giving an account. What they were first of all doing, they were introducing what they have come to do and how they will do it. And particularly, I was tickled by a lawyer by the name of Muthomi. I think there is a lawyer by the name of Muthomi or someone, Fionkolu. He was able to really capture our interest. Now, there is also Part C, which has the argument where you present your argument. There is Part C where you introduce your argument and then you are able to make a conclusion. So that, in a nutshell, that is how a position paper is supposed to look like. Then, because this position paper is the one which will form our workplace assignment, what we call our workplace assignment, which we will later on present, I have already prepared the workplace assignment. I know you have also received it. And this workplace assignment is on the area of education. And at this juncture, because we don't have the time, I have tried to single out to find out how we are going to approach it, because we are supposed to approach to do it as a group. And what I have done is that I have divided. I want this assignment will be done by four groups. We are going to divide ourselves into 4 groups, and I have appointed group leaders. So group number 1, I have Simon Mwangi and Pamela Nyaga. Group number 1. Group number 1. Then group number 2, we have Edwin Boy and Beth Kipto. They are the ones who will mobilize people for group number 2. And group number 3, we have Tebere and Ben Magut. They will mobilize people for group number 3. And for group number 4, we have Anasio Nyaga and Gloria. They will mobilize people for group number 4. Now, what I would expect from you is that group number 1 will write a position paper, because I have given the structure. They will write a position paper on strengthening rather than discarding the old system of education. Strengthening rather than discarding the old system of education was the best option to produce Kenya's narrative on education. So did we need to discard a whole system of education, or did we need to strengthen what we already had? That is the 844 and the old system of education. So that is group number 1. So I hope Simon can hear me? Simon Mwangi and Pamela Nyaga?
Yes, I can hear you, Mwalimu. I can hear you.
Yeah. Then for number 2, we have efficacy of CBC on socioeconomic and political development in Kenya. That is for group number 2. That is Edwin Siboye and Beth Kipto. Beth, can you hear me? Beth? What about Edwin?
I can hear you.
Edwin, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So you look for Beth. You look for Beth. And then Tebere and Magut. Tebere, can you hear me? Ben Magut?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm here, Madam.
Benjamin Magut. Look for Tebere. You are leading team number 3. Then Anasio Nyaga and Gloria.
Yes, Mwalimu, I can hear you.
Yeah, and this is Gloria.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, and Nyaga, Anasio.
And Natasha
So
he couldn't get into the system because he was through the phone, so I think he has an issue. But we'll let him know.
okay. You let him know. So these are the 4 groups. So I ask the president to distribute now the leaders that they know themselves. I ask the president to, I don't know whether it is the president I will ask, but because this is you know, this is a class where we are not meeting face to face. The best is also to do it among ourselves. So we will fit ourselves. Mr. President, you will try as much as possible to fit the members in these 4 groups, so that they can start working on this assignment, so that we can have a presentation. So that is what I would want to say for now, because we don't have time. I don't know whether there is any question or any comment, so that I can be able to respond. Any question?
The first one, Mr. Gashago, is on just a quick one. So group 3 and group 4 will be dealing with C and D respectively. Items number C and D from the present.
No. Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I get what you are saying. So group number 1 will be dealing with question A.
Yes.
Group number 2 will be doing B. And group number 3 will be doing C. And group number 4 will be doing D. Have I clarified it now?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that is how it is. I am looking at it, and I hope Simon and his team will be leading. Simon and Pamela will be leading group number 1. Edwin and Beth will be leading group number 2, and Tebere and Magut will be dealing with question number 3, that is C, and Anasio and Gloria will be leading group number 4. So, question number 4, they will be doing question number 4. I hope now it is clear. Is it okay?
Malim, how will somebody know the group he belongs to?
No, I have asked the president.
Yes.
I have asked. Okay, then let me do this. Let me divide the groups. Let me divide the groups, but the group leaders remain. And then I give the names perhaps tomorrow. Is it okay?
The names of the members.
Sorry?
The name of the members will be posted in the forum. For instance, I'm Ibrahim. Which group will I belong to?
Jela, I think what Mwalimu is saying is that he has already identified the leaders of the 4 groups. So what he's going to do is...
Yes.
So what he's going to do is to fill up the membership of
I'll
the 4
ask the
groups.
program
Yes.
Yes.
I understand now.
Okay.
That we will be notified of which group we belong to.
Yep.
Yes. Anything else that require clarification?
Timeline,
Wait, that's a
Mwalimu.
question. When are we supposed to submit this presentation? Sorry, I think probably that I missed that when you were talking.
If you look at if you look at the timetable,
yes,
there is a point where we'll be making presentations.
okay.
Yeah. That is when those presentations must be ready.
Are we going to do them
okay?
face to face? Are we going to do them face to face, or are we going to do them online?
Okay, that is something that I'll be able to clarify, because right now I know you'll be coming to. There'll be the last module of character. Yes, values and character development. So I want to try and get. Coordinator. Yeah, I'll get clarity from the coordinator. I'll get clarity from the coordinator to know exactly whether we'll do it online or when is it? I think it should be just before values and character development, where you see myself and Gashire.
I think it's on Mwalimu, it's on 7th, eh?
The 7th of November.
7th to 13th
and it is
of
a live
November.
session, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a live session,
yeah,
yes.
Live session. So we are going to make our presentations online. That has been predetermined. Is it okay?
Yes, Mwalimu, thank you so much for the clarification.
Yeah, so I wanted to give this assignment early so that there is no rush in the last minute. Is it okay?
Yes.
Quite in Mwalimu.
It's okay. Anything else that I need to clarify?
I think the other things Mwalimu will clarify when if they have any question, probably would put in the group, and maybe I know you could be able to access such clarifications. And then comes up at some point. Yes.
That's wonderful. So in the meantime, I want to thank you very much for bearing with me within this very short period. I have tried to make your work easy by giving the structure and some explanation. Perhaps the length of that paper should be perhaps 7 to 10 pages. Yeah, 7 to 10 pages, so that we don't have very long papers. A position paper may not necessarily be a very long one. So let us have it as between 7 and 7 and 10 pages, plus the references. That is plus the references. So, but that is also minus the table of content, because some of us also put a table of contents. But because it is not a it's not a long paper, we may not need to have the table of contents. Let's have just the paper plus the paper plus now the references that you may have visited. So I want to, yeah. So I wish to stop at this point, because I know we will be off air anytime. And thank you very much for bearing with me, listening to me this, I think it is only about 20 minutes. I wish to thank each one of you. So unless there is a question, I wish to stop at this point. Any question or any comment?
I think, Mwalimu, we are also grateful for the session, for what you have told us, and Ali. So I think unless we appreciate, but we'll be engaging you more in terms of as we now develop the paper. If there is any clarifications, please don't get tired listening to our issues.
Okay.
Thank you. Team, I don't know if there's anything outside AOB, or I know it's now 10 minutes past 9. Overshot our time by 10 minutes. I don't know if there's any issue before we can move on.
Yeah, yeah, I think, just in case there is anything, I'll be able to clarify. But what I also intended to mention is that sometimes group classes would want to have their work done in a way that they can. Some of the group members have done their work in such a way that they have it bound. They have it bound, and it can be used for reference. You know, sometimes when you go for interviews and you are asked whether you have ever written anything, you are able to produce something. Perhaps what I can be able to do, I can take a photo shot of what was done last by the SLDP that completed their studies last week, so that if the class feels that it is important to have something that they can carry home and remember that they were SLDP students, then they can be able to do that. So that is what I would want to say for now. I want to stop at this point. So thank you very much and God bless you. So
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
President.
Thank you so much for those clarifications. I don't know, members, is there anything else that we need to address now urgently, or we can call it a day? I know there was an issue about the recording of the webinar. I was told that you can be able to access it through your LMS. So there is no, I mean, you cannot like post it in the group, the audios of the past webinars. So you just go to your LMS and you can be able to access it there. Any other thing? I don't know. Any other, if there is any issue? Being no other issue, can I ask Emmanuel Korir to pray for us, given that now I'm the spiritual leader and the president at the same time? Emmanuel Korir, please pray for us if you are there.
Okay, maybe we can bow down, classmates, for a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we come before you this evening. We thank you for the gift of life you have given unto us, O Lord. We thank you for the time you have been with us since today at 7 up to now, O Lord. Even as we take time to go and rest our minds, O Lord, we thank you and we remember to give you all the thanks and glory. I pray this short prayer, trusting and believing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. See you.
Amen.
Good night.
Good night.
Kwaherini.
Haya, kwaherini. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you and good night.